Hey everyone, quick heads up before we jump into today's episode. This bonus episode was originally scheduled to drop back on July 29th, but due to a scheduling delay, it's launching today instead. Because of that, you're going to hear my co-hosts and I making time-sensitive references during our commentary, like telling you to stay tuned for upcoming trailers or cases slated for early August. Just keep in mind that those dates have already passed, but the discussion, the commentary, and the deep dive into the case are just as fresh. Thanks for bearing with us on the schedule shift, and enjoy the episode. On a stormy night, a speeding car loses control. Headlights flash, and it veers off the A3 highway into the dark trees below. Multiple witnesses call emergency services, but when police arrive, they find something that defies all physical reality. A decomposed body, a car rusted by months of rain, a fatal crash that actually occurred 5 months in the past, replaying itself. Was it a ghost vehicle, a glitch in time, or a spectral cry for help from a soul waiting to be found? On this very first bonus episode of Crypt Walkers, we're also doing our very first Redux, returning to the very first case that Crypt Walkers ever covered. Tonight, we are breaking down the documented, chilling reality behind the famous A3 ghost encounter.
Welcome to Crypt Walkers, the podcast where the eerie and enigmatic come to life. Hosted by Ryder, a police officer and paranormal investigator with a lens for the unexplained. Open the crypt. Come take a walk with us.
Hey guys, and welcome to the very first bonus episode of Crypt Walkers. As always, I am Ryder, your host, and for this bonus case, I'm joined by my dear friend in the paranormal, Jamie. How are you, Jamie?
Hey Ryder, thanks for having me. I'm good. It's like getting into a schedule of recording and then maybe get a few hours of sleep and then jump back into recording, right? That's pretty cool.
Yeah, because you guys don't know this, but literally last night we just recorded. If you want to call recording, more like it was interesting. It was a completely unfiltered version of Into the Crypt, and yeah, this is what. And for you guys who are listening, you guys listened to that last week. So last Wednesday, you got the Into the Crypt episode that we're talking about.
And if you haven't watched it yet or listened to it, check it out. It's a cool episode.
Yeah, exactly. So, speaking of which, at the end of that episode, Jamie and I were talking about recording, basically the very first bonus episode of Crypt Walkers, based off of the schedule that I'm trying to keep, where you guys at least have some sort of content every week. Works out for most of the months of the year, but this particular month there's 5 Wednesdays instead of 4. So I can't do my usual case episode, listener files, Into the Crypt, and then back to, case episode. So I figured, why not throw in a little bonus episode? I mean, it's part of it. So we'll go ahead and throw this little bonus episode in here. And I kind of threw out the idea to Jamie about doing a redux on the very first Crypt Walkers case that me and William covered way, way, way back in 2024. So, and when I told Jamie about the A3 ghost encounter, she had no idea what it was. Ain't that right, Jamie?
It's a first, and it that doesn't usually happen. I've dove so much into research on all paranormal locations in the U.S., but this isn't in the U.S. now, is it?
No, this one is going to be in England. So,
and
we're going to England,
note,
okay? We're going to the UK, more specifically,
on
the United
that note,
Kingdom.
Given how fun yesterday's recording was, anybody from the area or knows the area well, please, if we mess up on any oh goodness. How to
we're gonna
say
mess
word.
up. Yeah, there's gonna be some language. There's gonna be some town names in here that I'm so sorry. So,
Please correct us. Just comment below. We would
To
love to
be-
know how to appropriately say
Yeah.
words.
to be forewarned, if you guys are in the UK and if you are from this area where what we're talking about, get on the comments. Make your case known. Say, no, this is how this is pronounced, and tell us we did it right or did it wrong or whatever. So
We're really just some Midwest podcasters trying to
yeah,
create
yeah.
something here and could really butcher some ways of saying things very easily. So
Exactly.
apologies
So
in advance.
yeah. So for our cold open, you guys heard a very cinematic cold open, so you kind of have a little bit of an idea of what we're talking about, even if you haven't listened to the first episode of Crypt Walkers ever. But Jamie has no idea because Jamie hasn't heard any of it. So yeah, because at the time of recording this, it hasn't even been done yet. So I couldn't even show it to you if I wanted to, Jamie. So
Oh dear.
Anyway, so I guess we'll just start diving right into it. So we're going to go back in time, okay, to the year of 2002. More specifically, the night of December 11th, 2002.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's an interesting date.
Yeah, so this is going to be in Burpham. Burpham? That actually sounds more right, guys. Burpham, Guildford. This is in the county of Surrey, England. And for those of you who are not familiar with any of the territory that, like any of the towns and where they all are laid out in England, most people know where London is. So this location is about 25 miles southwest of London. Okay. So if you guys look on a map, you'll see. This all came about because again, it was during the night. It was rainy. On an interstate. Now, their interstates are not laid out like the U.S. The U.S., we have interstate, whatever number. Over there, they have a letter and then a number that corresponds with that letter. So, for example, this is along the A3 highway. Okay. So, but it's the A3 is a lot like an interstate. So you have two lanes of traffic going one direction, separated by a median, and then two other lanes going the other way. Right? So, anyway, so it's raining, it's in the middle of the night, and all of a sudden the 999 dispatch center, which 999 is their version of 911, gets flooded with multiple reports of a maroon Vauxhall Astra. This is a type of vehicle that was driving erratically on the A3 before it left the roadway and crashed out of sight. So multiple people called in seeing a vehicle losing control and then going off basically the side of an embankment. Okay. Police arrived on scene very quickly, within about, I think, 15 or 20 minutes afterwards. And were originally unable to see any signs of the crash. Now, keep in mind, this is in like the pouring rain. So I can imagine how difficult it is to even really look around, to figure out, if there was a crash. But while searching the area, they discovered that the Astra was hidden by trees and undergrowth. So there really was a crash. You following me, Jamie?
Undergrowth. So nature has started taking over?
Yes.
How does that happen within, like, what, you said 20 minutes?
Now, responders quickly realized that the crash, dun dun dun, had not occurred recently. In fact, because of the undergrowth and other signs at the scene, it appeared as though the vehicle had been in its current resting place for months and not within the last 15 minutes as reported. So there was a crash exactly where the witnesses pointed out, but it hadn't actually occurred at that moment.
So are they getting, like, ghost phone calls, or did the people calling actually
No, these were actual.
see a ghost?
These were actual citizens who called it in as they were driving by and witnessed it happen. They had no clue, had no reason to believe anything was out of the ordinary. But this is where things get a little bit more interesting. Okay. Because while searching the area about 50 meters away, not 50 meters, about 50 feet away from the vehicle, I realized saying 50 meters is way bigger than 50 feet. But about 50
It
feet.
might be 50 meters, though, because I think the UK uses the metric system, whereas the US is the only country that doesn't.
Yeah, because we have
go
to be
by
special.
feet.
We have to be special. I don't know. 50 meters sounds like a lot.
It does.
I mean, maybe he did. I don't know. We'll say 50 meters. We'll say 50
anyone
meters.
in the UK that knows of this story, or has the answers to that, is it 50 meters or 50 feet? We want to know.
Yeah, please let us know, because I am literally referring to my old notes from 2024. And let's just say Ryder wasn't too good at writing back then. So I'm dealing with an older version of me trying to decipher my notes. So I've done a lot better since then. But anyway, so we'll say 50 feet, 50 meters, even though that's a very drastic difference.
Yeah.
We'll give it to the people of UK to know exactly what, but a distance from the car, put it that way. So there was no one in the vehicle. So the officers began doing a foot search around the vehicle. And at some distance from the car, they found a partially decomposed, skeletonized, dead body. It was found laying on the embankment as if it was climbing up the embankment back towards the roadway. Okay. It was apparent that it was a male, and basically they doing later, what do they call it? Doing later forensic anthropology. What do they call them, though? They call them the people who do that. I should know. It's a forensic person that specifically deals with paleontologist. Yeah. Basically, a group of them got together and were able to figure out all the details about the victim because he was very decomposed. So they determined that he was in his 20s, that he was male. It was apparent that he survived the crash, but he was attempting, like I said, to reach the roadway, and he did make it. He just passed away. While they went through and tried to determine who he was, they later used dental records to confirm that the driver was a 21-year-old Christopher Brian Chandler from Middlesex, England. So they had an ID. What do you think?
I think he went too soon. 21. Oh my goodness.
That's pretty young. That is pretty young. So, that is, yeah, that's pretty young. But
so, did
Go ahead.
they research this individual after figuring out who he was and see, like, did they have a way of checking to see, like, what vehicle he drives and match it to the reports and to what they found there that is buried under the nature overgrowth?
So, I mean, obviously, they probably tied the vehicle together and connected it with Chandler by running a plate. Their plates are a little bit different than what I'm familiar with, but they obviously would have a database or a repository system that would keep all those records. So, chances are the forensics people, all they had to do was just confirm that it was him. More than likely, if he was driving his own vehicle, the police knew who the vehicle owner was within moments after being on scene. If they reported in to their dispatch and basically said, "Hey, this is the plate from the vehicle," that they would have all that information readily available. But they had to prove, okay, just because it's your vehicle doesn't mean you were driving it when the accident occurred. So, yeah.
But this young gentleman now is reliving that moment.
Yeah. So we'll get into that in a second, but so let's learn a little bit about Chandler. And there isn't much to know about who he was as a person. It's really only what is connected with this particular case. So for the most part, in the public's eyes, Chandler really was just like any other person. Okay, so it's not like we knew much. And this was also before Facebook and before all this social media where you kind of knew everything about a person, at least on the surface. So all we have is what we know from this incident. So please understand that I am not trying to make a judgment on Chandler or his personality or anything related to him. I'm just stating the facts, okay? Chandler had been wanted by the Metropolitan Police for being a suspect in a robbery case since July of 2002. So, to put that in perspective, that was 5 months before he was found. Interesting, huh?
And the accident supposedly took place when?
So, we believe the accident occurred not long after he fled the area. So,
wow.
It's believed that he had been in that spot, in that we'll call it a ditch, I guess you could say. He had been in that area since July of 2002. So he disappeared without a trace completely, not long after he became a fugitive. So, according to reports, a cell phone was found on his person. So it was still on his body. And it was revealed that Chandler was attempting to reach his brother on the phone when the accident occurred. His brother later explained in interviews all he heard was a click, as the call only lasted a second, and Chandler never said anything. So, again, it's sad. Like, I mean, it's sad, I mean, even if he was a robber or a criminal or whatnot, and he committed a robbery, I mean, 21 is still a young age, you know what I mean? So,
still a young kid that honestly could turn his life around pretty easily and make better choices if given the chance.
Yeah. And though I think that this is coming from a law enforcement officer's opinion, I think that, the UK tends to be a little light on crime. I do believe that they have a better system of rehabilitation than the US does. So, I don't know, maybe if he had been captured, maybe he could have gotten the help that he needed and changed his life, who knows, but it's just sad, I think I would probably do the same thing if I was in that situation. I'd call a family member. But I mean, now, his brother now has to live with that, like at that time, at that point when he got the call, he probably just thought, oh, it's my brother butt dialing me or something, but it kind of coincided with the exact moment that the accident occurred. So was he trying to call for help, that type of thing? And he was also on the run, so it's not like he was going to call the police. So, for those of you asking, why didn't he just call for help? But since he had a cell phone.
he's hiding from that help.
Yeah, exactly. So, friends were later interviewed, and they told police that Chandler was last known to have been at a party before he disappeared, and it's hard to say whether or not alcohol had anything to do with the crash. So, there was no other reports or mention on whether or not Chandler was known to drink. I mean, I'm not saying it's normal, but it would be easy to believe that if you're in your 20s, early 20s, and you're at a party, you're more than likely drinking, right? So,
Well, I mean, and for the U.S., I think I could be wrong, but we're a bit more strict with drinking age. You got to be 21. I think the UK, you can be actually a little bit younger than that.
right. Yeah.
So he's probably been able and possibly has drank a bit longer than what a U.S. kid would have been able to do.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're right. That's true. That's
I
true.
think it's like 18 years that people in the UK can start drinking legally.
Yeah. Yeah. I never thought of that. That's true.
And if I'm wrong on that age or any of that info, anyone in the UK, please correct me. But yeah.
Man, yeah, I never thought about that. That would make sense. Him being that young, and I mean, what? If you've been drinking since you were 18, I mean, you've already been drinking legally for, 3 years?
Yeah.
Did I do that math right? I can't do math.
Yep, 3
That's why I
years.
became a police officer. We don't have to do math. So,
Yeah.
Well, let me see here. There's a few articles that I had in my notes that, let me see if I can pull up and see if there's anything new.
While you're checking your notes, to all our listeners, if you don't mind, just comment where you're listening from. We'd love to hear from you, and just say hi or drop anything in the comments. Hope you're having a great day. Pause for research materials.
I like that. So this is coming from a website called Surrey News, specifically talking about the incident. Again, I will post the link in the show notes, just like I did way back in 2024. And I remember, and I'm looking at this, and it's bringing back some memories of working on the case in 2024. I'll just read this real quick. So from this article, one person who remembers the day clearly was Steve Casey, who worked for Mako Recovery Services. So this is the tow truck driver, okay? So speaking to Surrey Live in 2012, so 10 years on from the incident, he said it was an event that he would not forget, as he was at the scene to tow the car away and remembers the remains being recovered from the scene. Quote, "The car was badly damaged," said Mr. Casey. "It was written off and rusty. It was an old car. Someone said afterwards that there might have been a ghost involved, but you aren't told that at the time. I was just getting on with the job." He added that the incident still stirs memories when he drives down the A3 near Burpham, saying he thinks about it every time. Nearly 2 decades on, debate still rages about why people heard the noise and what exactly it was reported at the location of a crash 5 months previously. Why exactly it was reported at the location of a crash 5 months previously. One of the fascinating things about the paranormal community is everyone has a story. Listener files are officially back here on Crypt Walkers, and I want to tell your story. If you've had a brush with the unexplained, seen something that defies rationale, or experienced something spooky, email me at contact@cryptwalkers.net. Just make sure to put listener file in the subject line, and let me know how you want to be credited, whether it's your real name, a pseudonym, or if you prefer to remain completely anonymous. I don't know, man. It's your story. I'm just here to tell it. Now, back to the show. Yeah, like this is a thing that's kind of well known for the area. Think about it. I mean, people drive past this location every single day. And
I mean, it could be someone's normal commute every day to and from work.
yeah. And like I said, there's been no reports of any of this being a prank, or maybe someone being one of the things I think we discussed, me and William. I can't remember if we discussed it or not. I purposely chose not to review the episode before recording this, but I think me and William, whether on recording or just talking off mic, I think we discussed the possibilities like, hey, could this just be a, like maybe he was running from somebody and he got in the crash, and the people that he was running from later decided, hey, we're going to report that that he had crashed or whatnot, now that's been a long time. I don't know. We're basically the subjects that were involved in whatever situation, that were chasing him or whatnot, right? They run him off the road. He dies. They drive on. Maybe they get cold feet. They get remorse, whatever. Later on, they just call it in as if a crash had just occurred. You know what I mean?
That would be unusual to sit with that for
Yeah.
5 months
Yeah.
and then decide, yeah, I'm going to call
Exactly.
now. Have you looked into the stone tape theory? Because that's might be an interesting
So
avenue to consider.
that's the one that looking at the paranormal, that's the route that I went down. So, there are like me. Okay, so me and William talking about that previous concept idea, it was very loose. You know what I mean? Like, think about it. You got to have somebody that's going to wait 5 months to make the call, and then you got to understand that they know that, like, the police are going to know that it didn't just occur. So I'm more likely to believe that it was exactly the way it was. That you had people that were just driving down the road on a rainy night and they see a car go off the road. I firmly believe that's what happened, what they observed. So then we go into the stone tape theory. Okay. So is it that the conditions were just right, that these people that were just driving down the road end up basically watching a replay of the accident? Like a ghostly replay. You know what I mean?
I mean, you've got stone tape theory. That's a very, very convincing argument there. But you've also got just like a residual haunting. It's just something that completely replays over and over. But that also kind of goes into connecting to stone tape theory as well. So residuals could just very well be like a stone tape theory method.
Yeah.
In a sense.
Yeah. I mean, that's true. From what I understand, there have been no additional reports that anything paranormal has happened in that area. So
Conditions were right.
Yeah, perhaps the conditions were right. For those of you who aren't familiar with the stone tape theory, essentially it's the belief that anything that happens in the world leaves basically a spiritual imprint on the environment. So you don't even need to have somebody a death necessarily. If you have, let's say, me and Jamie are in a room, and we're in a heat of an argument, whatever. I end up throwing a book at the wall, right? And lo and behold, everything goes back to normal, blah, 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 blah. Time moves on. Me and Jamie aren't even in the same room anymore. We're still alive, but we're nowhere near that location. Somebody is now in that location. And all the environmental conditions suddenly line up. The temperature, the time of year, all the things line up just right. And then suddenly someone's sitting in that room and they hear what sounds like a book hitting the wall. Right? because it's a replay of that action that I had done months, years prior, whatever, right? I'm still alive. I'm not a ghost, but you know what I mean? It's just a replay from the environment. That's what we call the stone tape theory.
In a sense, it's a recording at with just the environment of an energy, I guess.
Right. Exactly. In this case, it's a very traumatic, catastrophic crash, which alone sends out energy. I mean, even just physical energy. But here's the thing, though.
You also have the death tied to it of that young
Yeah,
individual.
yeah, you have the death associated with it. And here's what's crazy is that, by the way, there's some photos of this actual crash. In fact, if you go back to the very first episode of Crypt Walkers, you can actually see a photo in the title page in the poster. That is a photo from the crime scene. So that is the car, nose down in the ditch with the police taking the photos. But what's interesting is that if this crash hadn't been reported, no one would have found him. Like, he was so far off the roadway in such overgrowth that it's not like they came through there and maintained it, you know. It's not like they cut grass and did all sorts of stuff around the embankment. So he wouldn't have been found had people not observed this crash. But I think about it this way, too. This just occurred to me. You know, we're talking about the stone tape theory and that certain things have to line up. This is in December. The crash happened in July. Environmentally, wouldn't you think the conditions would be really different?
I mean, for us living in the Midwest, that's an absolute yes. But we're talking about the UK. I've never been over there to see what it's like year round and what their weather conditions are over different seasons, how much that changes. But it's still a valid point. What if it wasn't stone tape theory? What if it's this young individual's last attempt at his, I mean, speaking on terms of if he's a ghost at this point, he's got just some unfinished business. Maybe it's letting people know that, you know, here he is, he didn't make it. And maybe having him discovered kind of let his spirit move on to wherever it needed to go.
Okay, I get what you're saying. So you're saying it was an intelligent interaction, but it mimicked the idea of what we would normally encounter with stone tape theory.
I mean, that got the message through for officers to find him.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Okay. And I mean, keep in mind too, you know, keep in mind too, his family's been looking for him. You know, since it's been 5 months that he's disappeared. Obviously they understand that he's probably just gone into hiding because he's a fugitive. So they have a reason why he would have disappeared. But yeah, and this gives closure to his family. You know. So I don't know. Yeah. I mean, maybe Chandler was very much involved in that. Maybe that was like you said, a last ditch effort, you know? Yeah. This is completely unfiltered, really completely unscripted. A lot like our Into the Crypt episode that we just did.
That one was so unfiltered.
That was terrible. It was great, but it was like,
listen, if you want a good comedy podcast mixed
that's going to be the one.
Some spooky stuff. Yeah, go check it out.
That's going to be the one.
It's great.
Yeah, Jamie keeps telling me that I need to do a podcast episode sometime when I'm like really, 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 really tired because I get slap happy.
I mean, you were already there after we were recording, and I'm just like, can we just hit record again?
Yeah. I think people would start tuning out. I don't know. We'll see. But But yeah, so this case really wasn't that big, right? I do want to give credit where credit is due. I did it in 2024. I'll do it now. There's a podcast out there called Mr. Ballin. I'm sure that you guys are familiar with him. He's kind of big. He's a fantastic storyteller. And this was one of those cases that he covered. I think he called it the Phantom of the A3 or whatnot. And he told the story in a really good way. So I highly recommend that you go check that out. I'm going to include a link in the show notes. And I listened to it and I was like, man, this is a really good case. Now, is it case episode material that I hold to my standards now as I move on with Crypt Walkers? Not really, because it's not an ongoing haunting. It's not it's kind of cut and dry. You know what I mean? Like
There's
like
not much more to unpack.
Yeah, exactly. I just figured we'd do this Redux simply because, we're coming up on the second year of Crypt Walkers. And, it's an interesting case to cover real quick as like a bonus, especially with you, Jamie, who had no clue of anything about it. So, fresh eyes, so to speak. It is interesting, though, that you came to, basically early on, you came to the same conclusion we did, me and William, that it was something stone tape related. So, yeah. So I hate to make this episode short. We're at
our
about
bonus episode.
Yeah, it is a bonus episode. It's weird because it feels like a case episode, but a case episode normally has a lot more to go with, right? That's the reason why they're usually 2-parters if I can make them 2-parters. But, yeah. I don't know, guys. What do you guys think? Did you like this type of short form content? Would you like to see more of these maybe smaller cases? Because I'm pretty sure that I could throw something like this together, and sprinkle it through. So, I don't know. Like I said, we're only on our second year here, so it's not like we're set in our ways. But
we're still growing. Still trying to figure our method to whatever madness we put out.
Exactly. So, if you want my final verdict, I think it was an intelligent spirit. I think it was Chandler just reaching out and saying, "Hey, this is where I am. Come find me."
Give closure to his family.
Yeah, I think so. At least I like to think that way. Who knows? Maybe it was stone tape. But like I said, the thing that's hanging me up on the stone tape theory is just because of the temperature conditions. If this was in July and somebody saw this happen, then it'd be like, yeah, stone tape theory all the way. But I know right now the UK is going through a huge heat wave. So, that's July. We're literally, we're literally at the same point in time. Not really. How many years ago would that be?
Pain.
Yeah, that would be what, 24 years? 24 years ago that it happened. This month. That's weird. That's spooky. Maybe that's why I decided to pick the A3 to go over again. That's actually kind of weird. Yeah, it happened in July of 2002, so that would have been 24 years ago.
It's the anniversary.
24
years.
But anyway, okay, so that's my final thought. That intelligent spirit. Yours is?
If anybody from the UK needs to correct us on our terminology, pronunciation, I probably butchered that too. Please do. Also, what do you want us?
Yeah, exactly. So, anyway, we hope that you guys enjoyed this. Like I said, very first bonus episode. There is going to be another bonus episode. It's going to be, I believe, in September, if I'm not mistaken, because that's going to be another month where we're going to have 5 Wednesdays. So,
Do we want to
Yeah.
give any hints or just keep it all secret?
I'm going to keep it secret for now.
Oh, yeah.
Because really anything can change.
Yeah.
And, I think I like the idea of not giving any sort of trailer, any sort of anything towards the bonus episodes.
But be sure to check this one out. Whatever it may be, it's going to be a really great one.
Yeah. So it'll be the last week of September. Let me look at the calendar, make sure that's correct. Yes. So September 30th, there'll be another bonus episode. It should be a blast. I'll tell you that much. So,
we got
right, guys.
Few ideas brewing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be sure to follow us anywhere that you listen to podcasts. Share it with a friend, especially if they're into the spooky and the paranormal. You guys can check me and Jamie out basically on any of our Into the Crypt episodes. It's kind of a new thing going on, but I'm thinking Jamie's going to be our official co-host for that show. But we'll see. Do you want to put a plug in for Paramedia or?
Yeah, I am getting my own podcast started up. It's nowhere near as going as Crypt Walkers or anything like that, but I do have Paramedia that it's my own side podcast. It's currently on a snooze, waiting to get the editor to get some videos done. But
yeah. But yeah, you guys can check her out on Paramedia. When that comes time, I'm sure we'll start flooding it once you're ready. So,
side note, I am not bashing any editor. The editor is actually me. So,
look, sometimes I want to beat the heck out of my editor because my editor doesn't know how to get on task and get on point. That editor being me, Ryder. And whoever runs our social media,
oh my goodness,
needs to be fired because they don't do anything, i.e. me.
Yeah. Paramedia's social media person is just, I don't know. I think they just quit or something. I don't know.
Non-existent. Yeah, guys, please do follow us on social media, though. Follow Crypt Walkers, only because I promise content is coming. I've got vacation that I'm literally about to do. It'll be for the rest of this month of July. When we're recording this is not, I think we're 2 weeks out from actually the end of the month when this will actually drop. So I'll be back from vacation by the time this drops. My goal is...
So we're getting this early. That's nice.
Yeah, exactly. My goal is I'm going to literally sit down for 2 days and just start doing social media posts from every case episode, every podcast episode, whatever needs to be done since basically once I picked it back up in May. So yeah. So just be aware that if you follow us on socials, it's just going to be a sudden flood of different posts. And then I'm hoping that I can generate kind of a system and be like, hey, this is what we're going to do going forward. I've been debating leaning more into Facebook. Just because it's easier as a podcast to kind of funnel everything to that. Obviously, I think there's some other social media bits like Instagram and whatnot that I'll need to replicate with Facebook because not everybody's a Facebook person. I've been told that I'm old because I'm on Facebook, but
Facebook is now outdated.
I'm going to pretend that you didn't say that.
That is not my personal view. That's what so many have told me.
I know.
Yeah. And it is Instagram now. And TikTok.
So I think I'm going to lean more into, this is a bonus episode, guys, so I don't care if the housekeeping is a little bit longer. And maybe, hey, this might be stuff that you guys are interested in. I will try to keep it short, though. I am going to try to do more, the big additional media stuff will be on Facebook, but I would still like to get back into doing my old school trailers for each case episode at least, in TikTok. And just keep that short there. and then maybe have a few clips from the podcast as, it's being recorded and whatnot. And then, so it'll be a sprinkle. It'll be a sprinkle. Yeah. So you have TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. Those will be the 3 primary. I'm going to drop X altogether. I really don't like it. Like, I just don't like X. And I'm paying for it. Why? You know what I mean? It is what it is. But whatever. So, point is, guys, I'm so excited that, we've made it to our first bonus episode, A, and B, I'm just excited that the show is growing and that it's going. You know what I mean? We recently just crossed 1,000 downloads, and I know that in terms of other podcasts, that's like, oh man, whatever, 1,000 downloads.
No, I mean, for starting out, that's amazing.
But for starting out, that's a big deal, guys. That means you guys like what you're hearing, and it's one of those things where whenever it took me years to finally get to like, hey, I want to make a podcast, and I finally got the courage to do it, and now all of a sudden, people are listening.
We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for our listeners, so thank you so much for tuning in.
Thank you so much, guys. And I'm gonna stick around because there's gonna be a trailer. I decided not to put it in the middle like I normally do for any episode that's past the case episode. So there's gonna be a trailer for the next episode, the next case episode, which will literally premiere next week, by the way. Because that'll be, August 5th? Yeah. So it'll premiere August 5th. Be sure to stick around, take a listen to it, let me know what you guys think. And there's some developments on that one too. But I don't know. I'll mention it in the episode if we may end up having a guest. I'm pretty sure we're going to have a guest. But for right now, just stay tuned. So until next time, guys, happy hauntings.
Next time on Crypt Walkers.
If you ask any serious paranormal investigator about the Midwest, one name will come up time and time again: Ashmore Estates. It's a building where history isn't just remembered, it feels alive. From its origins as a county poor farm to its darker days as a private psychiatric asylum, the walls of Ashmore have witnessed decades of human grief. And according to those who have braved spending the night inside, those memories are still reaching out from the dark. Join us on the next episode of Crypt Walkers as we break down the history, the claims, and the haunting evidence surrounding Ashmore Estates. The doors are opening. Are you brave enough to step inside? Case 16, Ashmore Estates, airs Wednesday, September 2nd, wherever you get your podcasts.